Matt Mcclung was one of the most exciting high school basketball players we have ever seen, and he also had a 47-inch vertical. So, what happened to this guy and where is he now? And today, I'm just here to explain to y'all his story. Matt Mcclung. This kid had a ton of attention and hype coming out of high school. He really started to get known when a ton of YouTube mixtapes and videos on him went viral. And in those mixtapes, they really showcased his dunking and athletic ability. And it really looked as if this kid was going to be the next big thing. However, we really haven't heard anything about Matt Mcclung in about 2 or 3 years. And to get into the bottom of this story, you guys already know, we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Mcclung grew up in Gate City, Virginia in a very small town of only about 2,000 people. And believe it or not, he actually started out playing football but then quickly made the transition over to basketball. A bunch of his family members actually said in an interview that Mcclung was extraordinarily competitive as a child. His father even went on to say this: "Matt was just born with it. If you're fixing a bowl of cereal, he's going to make it a competition." So to go along with Matt Mcclung's extreme competitiveness, his parents built a basement gym for their house. His parents actually built this gym for his older sister, whose name is Anna, but Matt Mcclung would actually use it almost too much. Mcclung started working out so much in their basement gym that his father had to ban him from it just so his sister could get a workout in. So I think it's safe to say that Matt Mcclung has an insane work ethic. As he started to grow up, he really didn't see a lot of exposure to basketball, but going into 7th grade, that changed. In 7th and 8th grade, this is when Mcclung became very interested in basketball and began training for the sport regularly. But just for middle school, he was still just an average player. After his freshman year of high school, this is when he gave up football and started to pursue basketball full time. And just a little fun fact to throw in there, according to Matt Mcclung himself, his shooting form actually improved dramatically after he broke his arm while snowboarding in the 8th grade. And if you're wondering why his shooting form improved, well, that probably has a lot to do with he could only shoot with one hand, so he actually started to work on the form a lot more. After his freshman year and going into his sophomore year, this is when Mcclung really started to take off. And by take off, I mean literally. All the extra hard work he put in when he was younger really paid off because his vertical leap has been measured at 47 inches. But not only did his vertical leap improve, his whole game improved dramatically. He started dunking as just a sophomore playing varsity basketball at his high school in Gate City. For his sophomore year, there's not too much to talk about because it wasn't really crazy, but he had a good year. Now flash forward to his junior year in high school, this is when things really started to go viral. As just a junior, on February 24th in 2017, he scored a career-high 64 points in a loss to Dan River High School. This was the best scoring performance in the school's history and the highest among Virginia public schools since 1984. For his junior season, he wound up averaging 29 points per game, 5.5 assists, and 3 steals per game for his team. Those are pretty remarkable and great stats for any level of basketball. And after his junior season, in the summer, he actually committed to Rutgers. So with averaging 29 points and over 5 assists per game as just a junior, Matt Mcclung had heavy expectations on him for his senior season. And well, let's just say he did not disappoint. For his senior year, he finished with over 1,150 points and led his team to the state championship. And for his overall high school career, he finished with 2,801 points. So by just looking at this kid's numbers and seeing his YouTube mixtapes, you would probably think he's either a 4 or 5 star recruit and has offers from everyone. Well, that's not the case. Despite his prolific scoring performances, Mcclung was only considered to be a 3-star recruit. And like I told y'all a little earlier, he actually committed to play for Rutgers at first, but he eventually changed his mind and decided to play at Georgetown. Patrick Ewing, who is the head coach at Georgetown, really liked Matt Mcclung, so it really seemed as if he was going to be a one and done type of player. So with a ton of hype surrounding this player, going into his freshman season, he was expected to produce right away. As a freshman, he started every single game for Georgetown. He averaged 13.1 points per game. Now when you hear that, you would think, yeah, that's pretty good for a freshman, and it is, but his field goal percentage wasn't that good. His overall field goal percentage for the season was only 39%, and from 3-point distance, it wasn't good at all. For threes, he only shot roughly 27% from deep, and for a point guard, that's not that good. He averaged 2 assists per game, but he also averaged 2 turnovers per game, so it kind of cancels out. So overall, for his freshman season, it was okay. I wouldn't say he necessarily disappointed for his freshman season, but it definitely didn't meet the expectations. So going into his sophomore season, which was the year 2019 through 2020, he definitely had high expectations once again. His sophomore season was basically an exact copy of his freshman season. Once again, he shot 39% from the field, but he did improve his 3-point percentage to 32. He did increase his points per game from 13.1 to 15.7, so that's really good, but for his other stats, they relatively stayed the same. With McClung being listed at 6'2 and 186 pounds, he's not your ideal type of NBA point guard. And that athletic ability and insane vertical leap we saw in high school, it really didn't transfer over to the college level. Just hear me out. In high school, that athletic ability looks crazy and like no one can stop you. But when you go to college, that athletic ability really doesn't transfer over and make that big of an impact because everyone you're playing against has that same ability almost. And I know for these 2 seasons at Georgetown, his 3-point percentage wasn't all that great, but I think those numbers are very misleading because he is a pretty good shooter. After his sophomore season, he had a pretty tough decision though, and that decision was to enter the NBA draft or come back to Georgetown or do something else. He really didn't do enough at Georgetown to be sure about himself, getting drafted, so it was a tough decision. With that being said though, he wound up deciding to enter the NBA draft. Shortly after he put his name in the NBA draft, he actually pulled it back and decided to return for another year of college basketball. Just recently though, there was big news. On May 13th of 2020, which is this year, he put his name in the transfer portal. And well, Matt McClung actually named his top 7 schools just recently on Twitter, and here they are: Texas Tech, Arkansas, Auburn, BYU, Memphis, USC, and Wake Forest. Now just by going off of this list, the only school I really see Matt McClung really thriving at is Auburn. Don't get me wrong, I think he can do good at the other schools, but I think for him to get to the NBA in that next step, he'll need to go to Auburn. But hey, that's just something we're going to have to wait and see, and I'm really interested to see how it turns out for this guy. Matt McClung was labeled as one of the most exciting high school basketball players to watch in the country. And going into college, it really seemed as if he was going to meet and live up to these expectations. These past couple of years though, haven't been exactly great for McClung. But if I was you, I wouldn't sleep on this kid because he may just take flight on us. But hey man, with all this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family and hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.